So, Atma Namaste and a very, very warm welcome to all of you. The Buddha, when he spoke of the spiritual path, often described it as the developing or the cultivating, the awakening of certain qualities, and he called them the factors of enlightenment, the qualities of awakening. And they are beautifully represented in the language of Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan. Now, just to give you a little background, Carlos Castaneda was an anthropologist from Peru, and he's written a book called The Teachings of Don Juan. And it's the story of a remarkable journey that delves into his experiences with a shaman called Don Juan. And through their conversations, Castaneda reveals the powerful teachings and spiritual wisdom that transformed his life. And today I would like to use that language to speak about what Don Juan calls the way of a warrior. And he says there's a mysterious beauty that surrounds those individuals who live their lives as warriors, as men or women of knowledge. And the first quality is impeccability. So a man or a woman of knowledge is impeccable. Now, there are some people who are very careful about the nature of their acts. Their happiness is to act with the full knowledge that they don't have time, that whatever one is doing may very well be one's last act on earth, that every act counts. It's the quality of learning to live completely in each day, in each hour, in each action, in each communion or touching of another person. To realize the shortness and the preciousness of every moment. And with that, say, well, how do I want to live? So now, if I were to ask you, what is the opposite of impeccability? It is half heartedness. Think about it. Just think of how many things in our lives we've done half heartedly. Perhaps went to school half heartedly. Some of us do our work or some relationships which we kind of do, just do, or various other things. And then there are these little ones of going for a walk in the woods and being so caught up in our thought or our worry or our memory, we even forget to smell the flowers. We don't smell the pine trees. It's like it goes by and we are on automatic pilot. Now think of the times that you have lived most fully in your life. Those times when you really wholehearted did something with all your energy, all your attention, all your body and spirit all together. And it doesn't even matter how it comes out when you live in that fashion. Just the quality of living and doing it completely itself is fulfilling. There's a certain taste of sweetness, fullness to it, isn't it? Now, this is the central quality of a spiritual warrior, of a man or woman of knowledge. Just awakening this capacity to be full or impeccable or careful in relation to our body, to the breath, to movement, to all the physical elements, in relation to our emotions, to be aware and present with our desire or actions. And out of this quality, the other 6 factors of enlightenment grow. So the next three are arousing qualities of mind, and then the last three are stabilizing qualities. And we'll come to all of them. So the second quality is that warriors are energetic, they are not lazy. Now, if you've read the sutras, the word most often taught by the Buddha was not nirvana or enlightenment or even mindfulness. It was effort. Ramana Maharishi says, enlightenment is not your birthright. Those who succeed do so through proper effort. So what does it mean to make proper effort? It's not the effort to change things, but to be awake. It's the effort to be present, to see things as they are. And also to realize that we have a much greater capacity for opening in our energy than we think. That energy is really much more endless than we think. You know, most of us, we kind of have the battery model. Well, if I do the late sitting, if I do the meditation from 9:30 to 10:45, God, I'll be so tired tomorrow. Maybe I should go to sleep early. Or if I wake up so early to meditate, it would be too much. I'd be using up all my energy and I'd be tired for the rest of my work day. But there's a very different way to work with energy than thinking you have a little battery full and you have to measure it out in spoons. And that is to recognize, and all of you can validate it for yourselves. You can test it. That when you do things very fully, the presence, the fullness of your attention, of being there, brings energy. It's like you open up and you become more of a channel for energy. So, the meaning of effort is the effort to be balanced, to pay attention to what is here, and also to discover our capacity for doing it. It's not like we want to get enlightened, we want to be peaceful, but we want to do all this, but not tonight. I'm a little tired. I'll do it tomorrow. How many times do we end up to saying this? The third quality of warriors, courage. Warriors, spiritual warriors, are courageous. Now, what does this mean? It's not courage to go and fight wild animals or do daredevil things or something like that at all. It's a very deep kind of inner courage. It's the courage or willingness to investigate for ourselves, to look into every secret corner of the heart and mind, to look at everything as it truly is, not as we would like it to be. The courage to look at death, to look at our fears, to look at loneliness, to look at the mystery of the world, to look at the shortness of life, to look at the beauty of things, to look at pleasure, to look at pain, to really open to all of it, open to all feelings. Whether it's aversion, irritation, frustration, worry, anger, fear, or our tendency to push things away or to delay, or sleepiness, dullness, restlessness, doubt. So, the spirit really of this third quality is the willingness to see them all and then sit with them and discover their nature. Desire comes, Notice desire. Fear comes. Look at fear. I mean, it may take you 10, 50, 200 times of being really afraid, and finally you look at it and say, oh, there's fear again. I know you. And you will notice it loses its power over us. Or desire, or anger, restlessness, boredom. Here it comes. Look at it. And Don Juan, he puts it very beautifully. He says, only as a warrior, a spiritual warrior, can one withstand the path of knowledge. A warrior cannot complain or regret anything. Their life is an endless challenge. And challenges cannot possibly be good or bad. And he says, and I love this, the basic difference between an ordinary person and a warrior is that a warrior takes everything as a challenge, while an ordinary person takes everything either as a blessing or a curse. Now, there's a secret to it. And that secret is to train ourselves, to build that muscle, to not to cling to that which is pleasant and not to avoid that which is painful. In one of the previous lessons, I've spoken about this. Life is a series of attachment and non attachment. Because things are constructed in a way, the way things are constructed. There's light and dark, night and day, day and night. There's birth and death, sweet and sour, pleasant and painful. They're all part of it. It's duality. It's kind of mixed together. You can't have pleasure without having pain. And you can't have pain without having some beauty and pleasure. They're part of the same continuum. My teacher would say, if you would like not to have pain in your life, please get yourself born someplace else, because it's not so here. So the quality of courage is really our heart's capacity to open to all the things in our life. Now the fourth quality is what Don Juan called controlled folly. Now what is controlled folly? It's a kind of lightness or a joy in not taking oneself so seriously. Perhaps it's what T.S. Eliot meant when he wrote this line in his poem Ash Wednesday. He said, Lord, teach me to care and not to care. So, controlled folly is really a spirit of discovery of the play of life. And a man or woman of knowledge chooses a path with heart and follows it, and then looks and rejoices and laughs, and they know that their life will be over altogether too soon. So they endeavor and they sweat and they puff. And if one looks at them, they're just like any ordinary person, except that the folly of their life is under control. So, controlled folly, it's a perspective of a kind of lightness. It's a joy of mind of seeing that what we do is this dance of life. And what matters much more is the heart that we bring to it. And when we die, it's much more going to be a question of how we have loved than anything else at all, than what we have built or accumulated or done. There's a poem, it's from an old woman, like a 85-year-old woman, And I'm going to read that poem. Just give me a moment. And she writes, if I had my life to live over, I would like to make more mistakes next time. I would relax and limber up. I would be sillier than I have been this trip. I would take fewer things seriously and take more chances. I would climb more mountains and swim more rivers. I would eat more ice cream and less beans. I'd perhaps have more actual troubles, but I'd have fewer imaginary ones. You see, I'm one of those people who live sensibly and sanely, hour after hour, day after day. I've had my moments, and if I had to do it over again, I'd have more of them. In fact, I would try to have nothing else, just moments, one after another. Instead of living so many years ahead of each day, I've been one of those persons who never goes anywhere without a thermometer, a hot water bottle, or raincoat and a parachute. If I had to do it again, I would travel lighter than I have. If I had my life to live over, I would start barefoot earlier in the spring and stay that way later in the fall. I would go to more dances. I would ride more merry-go-rounds. I would pick more daisies. What a wonderful spirit. So, coming to the next quality of a warrior, it is strength. And it doesn't mean strength of will or physical strength. It's really the power of the heart and mind to be one pointed in one's purpose and one's vision. And it's needed to penetrate or just cut through the illusion, the rapidity and speed of mind. You know, in this book, at one point, 10 years after Carlos started to study with Don Juan, he said to Don Juan, please, I've gone in the desert, I've taken these mushrooms, I've done all these kinds of strange meditation practices and so forth. Would you tell me, where is this going? What's the heart of it? What's the essence? And Don Juan said, well, I could tell you, but you don't have enough personal power to understand it. So, one of the meanings of personal power is this kind of strength. It's a power of mind to look really deeply at our experience, to cut through all the thoughts and worries and see to the very root of it. What consciousness is, how the mind works, what the body and mind together are, what their nature is. And just day and night paying attention to nothing else until until the mind becomes so collected and so attentive that they cut through and see a whole radical new way of perceiving the world. And it doesn't happen by accident. It happens as we are doing here and coming back again and again to sit in meditation and really learning to look. And it's not like enlightenment or awakening or understanding is down the road in some other place. It's here in every moment. In any moment that we awaken, we can see what's true. If we become silent enough in any moment, we can see what is true, what is the nature of our life, what is the nature of our mind. So there's strength of mind, which is this personal power of really being present. And then the second stabilizing quality is peacefulness. Spiritual warriors are peaceful, they are tranquil. A man or woman of knowledge treats the world with tenderness. There's a kind of stillness around these people who've come to sense some witness, some wisdom in their life. There's not hysteria or agitation. It's what Don Juan calls stopping the internal dialogue. But what happens most often, we get so busy that we lose track of what's important. Most of us are deeply good and wonderful people. The essence of our hearts is good. But what happens is that we forget to ask. And this is something to think about every day. What do I really care about? What matters to me? What do I treasure? What do I value? And we need to keep coming back to this so that we keep walking the path with the heart. What do I want to do in this year? What do I want to do next year? I'm going to read something what Kabirji says. Saint Kabir says, I don't know what kind of God we've been talking about. The caller chants in a loud voice at dusk. Does he think that God is deaf? Don't you know that God hears the ringing of the anklets on the feet of an insect as it walks? So to be peaceful also means not tossed so much by our desires and fears. It means a kind of restraint. For most, freedom is the freedom to read the magazine you want, to buy the kind of car you would like, to drink the kind of beer that you want, to buy the kind of clothes that you would like. I mean, this is how our society, our culture understands freedom. But most of it's just conditioning and habit. We buy the cars we buy the labels we buy, or drink the beer we do because of ads and taste and cultural and societal conditioning. It's not freedom at all. Think about it. It's just kind of being led around by the advertising and the cultural conditioning for the most part. The meaning of peacefulness is not being so caught in these things that come through. It's a kind of inner freedom. It's an inner sense of not being caught by our own anger or fears or desires or worries or jealousy or envy. Not that they won't come. They come for a long, long time, but to really relate to them in a way which is loving and free. I'm going to read to you another poem, and this one is from Pablo Neruda, one of my favorite poets. He's a Nobel Prize winner from Chile, and it's called Keeping Quiet. And Neruda writes, now we will count to 12, and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for a second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. If we were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Now I will count up to 12, and you keep quiet, and I will go. And the last quality of a spiritual warrior is steadfastness. And this too grows as we continue on our path of spiritual practice, of meditation, sitting in meditation every day, day after day, month after month, year after year. And you can feel it. Now, steadfastness, it's like a mountain top. Snow comes, rain comes, the clouds come, wind, the sun comes out, it's clear. More storms come. What does the mountain do? Nothing. It's just there. There is an inner capacity of equanimity, of balance. And that's one of the greatest powers that humans have. It's a power of acceptance, no matter what. Actually, it's a power of love, really. And there's a story from the Zen tradition that illustrates it so beautifully. And you know, this story, perhaps it happened in Korea. There was a time of great turbulence and revolution, and there was a rebel general and his army that took over many provinces. And they came into one town. They were so violent, everyone fled and ran away. Even all the monks at the Zen temple. Everyone but the Zen master remained. So the scouts, they went around town and they came back and they said to the general, well, there's this one guy in the Zen temple, everyone's gone. So the general, he just goes over brandishing his sword and he walks in. He walks into the temple and he says to the Zen master, don't you know who I am? I am the general who killed all these people, took over these provinces. And I am one who can run you through without batting an eye. And the Zen master, he looked back and said, and I, sir, am one who can be run through without batting an eye. The general bowed and left. The ability to be with anything. It's a kind of opening to all the voices. One wisdom tradition calls it to be in divine equilibrium. So, before we do our practice today, there is this one particular passage that I really loved from the book, and I'd like to share it with you. And Don Juan says, "For me, there is only the traveling on paths that have heart. On any path that may have heart, there I travel. And the only worthwhile challenge is to traverse its full length. And there I travel, looking, breathlessly. And there I travel, looking, breathlessly." So, really, what I really liked, one of the nice things about all these qualities, these factors of enlightenment, is not that it is about some particular way of practice or technique, but it talks about the heart and any kind of path, any route, if it is done to cultivate these qualities, leads to our freedom, leads to our awakening, to our enlightenment. So just to quickly do a quick recap. So the qualities of impeccability and caring for each moment with a full awareness. Then the arousing ones of energy, proper effort of investigation and clear seeing, inner courage, and of a lightness or a humor controlled folly. And then the stabilizing qualities of strength of mind, tranquility, and the last quality of equanimity or steadfastness. So now we will do a very simple practice today of just quieting the mind and tending the breath, body and heart, and deep listening. Something we need these days. We just get so busy, there's so much else going on. So just to pause, to stop, to breathe with love and listen, really listen. So I want you to just sit comfortably and let your eyes close gently. And maybe take a couple of deeper breaths just to release whatever goes with that exhale. To become more present. And let your eyes and face be soft. Loosen your jaw. And if you like, you can roll your head in a circle to release your neck. The other direction. And let it find a simple upright. Let the shoulders relax and the arms and hands rest easily on your lap, palms facing the heavens. And feel the weight of your body, your bottom and your legs. And feet, feel the weight of gravity. And now you can let go and be fully supported just where you are. The earth, beloved Mother Earth, fully supports you. Pachamama, steady and stable. Let the belly be soft and the breath natural. And let the heart be soft as well, to receive whatever arises with a spirit of kindness, compassion. And now, with this embodied presence, begin to pay attention to this amazingly mysterious human body, this human incarnation and bodily form. And feel how it's breathing itself. You don't have to do anything. It breathes in the breath of the atmosphere and oxygen. And feel the breath wherever it's easy. The nostrils, the back of your throat, the chest or your lower belly. And if it helps you, you can put your hand on your belly. Feel the belly rise and fall in the palm of your hand. And with a kind attention to each breath, invite a sense of ease. Breathing in and out with ease. Breathing in with ease. Breathing out calm and steady. Breathing in with ease. Breathing out with calm and steady. The whole nervous system relaxes, stands down. And the body and attention, the heart and mind all come together just feeling this breath. And of course, there will be thoughts and emotions and sounds that arise as you sense each breath. Let them rise and fall like waves of the ocean around the breath. And feel how the breath breathes itself in the midst of it all. Sense how the breath breathes itself in the midst of it all. Now add metta or loving kindness to each breath. As the breath breathes in, fill your body with breath and kindness, loving kindness. Let each breath in fill your whole body and your whole being with loving kindness for yourself. And with each breath out, feel, sense, imagine any way you can that you are sending love out to the whole world. Breathing in love to your whole being, just naturally and easily. And in every little breath out, sending love to the whole world. And if the breath gets soft and quiet, let the love get soft and quiet as well. And notice as you breathe, breathing in and out, love. How there's a natural trust. A trust that after the breath breathes out, it will breathe in again, all of its own. And after it breathes in, it breathes out on its own. How you can trust the beloved Mother Earth to hold you wherever you are seated. How you can trust a mindful, loving awareness to notice and hold it all. The breath, the love, all the waves of experience that come and go. And in the midst of it all, there's a stillness, a listening. And in this stillness, ask your body, what does my body want? or need as we go through this new change of seasons. Now that you're present and quiet, let your body tell you what you need for the year ahead, what you want. Ask your body and trust that you can know. What does it need to be at its best? And you can listen in this deep presence and stillness. Just as you listen to your body, you can listen to your heart. As the seasons turn, what does the heart want? The year ahead will begin. What does the heart need? When you're able to nurture your heart, it emanates love, compassion, and joy. What does your heart need to be at its best? You can know. And in the same way, ask, what does my spirit need and want as the seasons change? For this year, for the next year, what would serve? What would bring the best? You can know. Take whatever gifts of understanding, your body, your heart, and your spirit offer. And the quieting of your mind and tending of the heart and breath. And let this well being stay with you even after the session is over. My loving and joyous wish for you is that you're able to experience all of the joy, all of the bliss that is radiating from your center at all times. Remember, you are a radiant soul, and when you radiate joy, you light up the whole world. And very gently, very slowly, when you're ready, you may open your eyes with a beautiful, beautiful smile. Atma Namaste.